Hey, it's Don, the Auction Professor here. Today we're going to talk about something else that I've bought for years. I used to work at a movie theater, and I'd get lucky enough to get lobby cards and stills. I've shown them in my videos. I show them in haul videos occasionally. I've had some big bunches recently, but we're going to talk about those right now. They show up quite often, mostly at auctions, local live auctions, or estate sales. Sometimes I'm lucky enough to buy them in bulk from a business going out. A movie theater going under is usually a good place to buy them as well, too. But we're going to go over to the screen, and we're going to talk about lobby cards and stills.
Okay, so today we're going to talk about lobby cards. One thing you need to realize is there are two different sizes of lobby cards. And a lot of people mix up stills, 8x10 stills with lobby cards. Lobby cards used to be 8x10 up until like 1929 or 1930. After that, they were standardized in 11x14 for everyone pretty much that was issued across the board. Anything after 1930 that was 8x10 was considered a still or just promotional photo pack or something. Usually they came in the stills, the 8x10s in like press books and things like that. I've had hundreds of them, honestly. I worked at a theater, so I used to be able to buy them from my boss and things like that too. So I've had some of the ones you're going to see, some of the newer ones. I'm going to show you just a few high-dollar ones, and we'll go over just the basics on it. Again, 8x10s after 1930 are stills. They are not technically lobby cards, but they still hold a value. Most lobby card sets were issued in 8 cards. One usually in the earlier ones was a title card, which would basically just have the title without scenes. The other 7 had scenes. Sometimes you'll see a set of 8 and a actual title card for a total of 9. Sometimes they're in folders or envelopes or packs when you get them with like advertising info, like which campaign it was, whether it was A, B, C. Some movies even had different lobby card sets, so there might be 2 or 3 different sets of 8 cards for a specific movie based on, you know, which release it is and things like that too. Re-releases count as well. They usually use different numbered cards. The numbers that you see on the bottom right hand or even sometimes on the left of the cards, usually the first 2 digits is the year the movie was released, and then you'll see a / and then it will have the actual number of film that was. So if it was the 110th film of 1949, it'll say 49 / 129. Or whatever the number happens to be. So, and that goes along with movie posters as well. Half sheets, full sheets, 6 sheets. The bigger the number, so like if it's a 6 sheet, it's a huge monster-sized poster. 2 sheets are double what a normal sheet is usually. 40 by 60 is about average. A typical movie poster is 27.5 by 41.5 or thereabouts. And with lobby cards, though, it really doesn't matter if it's a whole set. For the earlier ones, the new ones, you want a whole set. I'll just talk about a few here. We're going to go through some here. The vintage ones, all the horror ones sell, all the sci-fi ones sell, any of the vintage ones especially. So topic-wise, any of these horror ones sell for us. I don't think there's been a time I haven't spent some money on a horror one that I didn't sell. Mostly Bela Lugosi stuff will sell, or Vincent Price, or any of that kind of stuff. This is an exceptional example. Ghost of Frankenstein. Lon Chaney is key to this one as well. $2,650. I'm just going to flip through a few of the more popular ones. Ghost of Frankenstein again. The Monster and Lugosi in the Graveyard. Typical example of what you'll see early. Key Universal Studios monsters, $1,469. Even Our Gang. Now, this is an early one. I've seen them all when I was a kid. They used to play on the weekends. I've seen every one of these things. I think Jackie Cooper, I think, was as a child was one of them, if I'm not mistaken. Someone like that, if I'm not mistaken on that, was pretty famous in it. $1,000, well, $1,050 actually. Abbott and Costello. Now, I've seen every Abbott and Costello they made. These actually included the original people. Lon Chaney played the Wolfman. Bela Lugosi played Dracula. So these are highly collected. I've seen them all. I grew up watching Abbott and Costello on the weekends. It was on Sunday as well. $1,139.99. This is a title card. This is like one of the best ones you can get. Usually the title cards go for more than any of the other ones. I know these aren't something that most people will see, but they do show up, honestly, especially at auctions. Like this one here, most people may not even know that it's a lobby card. They'll just see a picture and think it's a poster, but it's literally a lobby card. I think it went in the $600 range as they buy it now on this one. Here's the King of Kings. It's a jumbo lobby card, so chances are, is this the whole set here, or is it just a single one? Looks like the whole set. Lobby card set. Yeah, let's see if they've got them all in here. Original set of 8. Yeah, I don't know why they call it jumbo. It's 14 by 17. That's why they're calling it jumbo. It technically may not be lobby card. It may be like a window card or something like that. Now, there's different designations for all of these based on the size. There's window cards as well, and this sounds more like window card. Usually you don't see a whole set of window cards, so it's iffy. But again, they didn't change the standard until either late 1929 or 1930, and then they standardized them all at 11 by 14. So anyway, $850 for this set. Again, some of these are very obscure, but as we get into them here, you're going to see, stuff you'll recognize. Jaws. Any one of the Jaws, I usually get 15 or 20 bucks for any one of the lobby cards from here. And again, I do find these at auctions all the time, sometimes in big, huge bulks where I'll buy 500-600 lobby cards or stills or 8x10s all at the same time for, $400 or $500 or whatever the case may be. I don't mind sinking money into them, even if they're individual, because they'll sell out for, over a period of time. You usually make your money back real quick, and then boom, the rest are just gravy. $795 on this one. These are just like perfect condition ones, though. So anyway, I wouldn't worry about reproductions on most any of these. The numbers on the bottom usually, give it away on those that they're real. Let's see here. Here's Seventh Voyage of Sinbad. I remember this as a kid, so this is just another one of those good sets, $600. Ray Harryhausen, classic stop-motion animation producer of films. He did awesome work for the time frame. The Cyclops right there was just awesome. This fighting skeleton scenes in one of the other ones was awesome too. But anyway, here's Buck Private, $656. Another Abbott and Costello. The Andrews sisters are in here too, so that kind of helps it. I've seen this one I don't know how many times when I was a kid. It used to play all the time. So it's a World War II classic. Let's move on here. Here's Laurel and Hardy. Now, I just sold Double Whoopee, the actual 8mm film of this exact film, so I kind of popped this one in here too. But this is typical 1929. It's one single lobby card, multiple bidders. Again, these are rare, some of these, so you're not going to run into these. You may get lucky and find some at an antique store, these old ones now. 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and up I find all the time. Sometimes I'll have to pay up for some, and other times they'll be really cheap because they're just single cards, and most people just don't think they're worth anything. It came from Beneath the Sea. Now, this is another one of those classic sci-fis. $585 for this, and this is the set. Let's see, yeah, lobby card set, it looks like. So anyway, it's a really good set. Doesn't show up very often. You can see by the price. Most average sets are like 40 or 50 bucks. Even for, flat movies, 20, 30 bucks, you're going to sell them at least, depending on how much you have into them. Spend as little as possible. Revenge of the Creature. Now, this one actually sells sometimes higher than the original one in occasion, depending on the specific card it is. No idea why. You would think that the Creature from the Black Lagoon, the originals, would sell, but I guess maybe this is harder to come by just because they didn't make as many of them. Now, this is Ghidra, the three-headed monster. This is a Godzilla one. You can see it's like a big fight of... in fact, there's Godzilla there in that one on the right. You can see him. So anyway, key one, $400. It's the whole set, 1965. Bogart. So character-wise, it doesn't matter. If you get somebody like Bogart in one, you're going to make some money on him. There's just no question about it. Let's see, lobby scene or title card that was issued for promotional. It's just one, too, so that just gives you an idea on the price. Best lobby in the set, probably because she's lighting his cigarette there, I would gather. It's got both of them together, Bacall as well. So anyway, here's Halloween 3. Perfect example, $355. I used to get these for $20, $25 for a whole set of these when I worked at the theater when this movie was out. So, this stuff does show up. Don't think it's crazy. They made tons of these. Most theaters could have had their own copy of these as well. So, and this is a classic. So how can you beat that? $355, good price for the era this movie came out. Now here's a 12 8x10 still set. Now again, as I said, they look like let me see, you can see the numbers on the bottom there real quick on this one here. But they look like a lobby card, but again, they're not. They're stills. If you look down at the bottom right, you'll see 64/2 231. That means in 1964 this movie came out, and it was the 231st film to come out that year. Doesn't matter who produced the film, whether it was Warner, Universal, Fox. It's a universal number for all companies, so that the Universal or the National Screen Service, NSS, that's the number basically that is, could designate the films and track them and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, $350 for this. Hepburn sells them, so just FYI. Now here's one of the worst films of all time. It's got some high ratings in the cult classic era. Bela Lugosi, one of his last films, I guess you could say. Vampira, that's the girl in there. Let's see if you can see it. I mean, Bela Lugosi was on his way out at this point. This was just like him trying to make a comeback for one last time. It's Ed Wood too, and this one's on all the classic books. It was just a terrible movie, but it's turned into a comedy almost, I would say. Anyway, so this one's $500 on its own for this one, and I'm sure they're trying to collect it because it's a Bela Lugosi film. But anyway, Star Wars, of course, you can't beat Star Wars. $280. I've had many copies of this set. Now this one's not even in the greatest condition, it looks like. Let me see. Looks like the corners are all bent on these. That is typical, so it wouldn't deter me. Their photos aren't the greatest, but still, it's a nice set either way. I remember getting this when I first started working in the theater. I was able to still get some of these from my boss at that point, so I did have a set of these. It was re-released as well, and I have a re-release set, and I've got a Revenge of the Jedi card from one of the sets even too. So $280 on this set of 8. Again, these are going into the new era. Anything poster-wise for any of the movies I'm showing you, any printed material, as long as it's vintage original, will sell for any of these movies. Even toys and stuff. Now this one I put on here because Robbie the Robot. You just can't beat this. This is Forbidden Planet. This is like the classic of all classics of, sci-fi. 1956 lobby card. Robbie the Robot is the robot that's appeared in more things than anything else. He's even been in TV series recently. I've had models of him even that sold for a ton of money. I had a 3-foot Robbie the Robot model that you could put together and put lights in it if you wanted. I got like $600 or $700 for that thing. Anything Robbie the Robot. And another interesting factor on this movie, the science, the special effects for this were actually done by Walt Disney Studios. It's one of the few things they did outside of their company, and most people don't realize that, but if you watch the movie, it clearly states their name, special effects by, it's all hand-drawn lasers and like a electric arm coming out. It's really kind of an interesting movie. If you haven't seen it, it's worth watching. You'll see Robbie the Robot in all kinds of things. Even an episode of Lost in Space it's in. It's even in an episode of The Twilight Zone. There's some new stuff it's in. It's even in some movies, some modern day movies from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Even though he's been around since 56, he's so well known. But $275 for this one still lobby card. Charlie Chaplin, $250. Paulette Goddard, she's fairly famous for the era too. So, and this is The Great Dictator. This is fairly a popular one. Rocky 2, Rocky 3, Rocky 4. It's the complete Rocky set. It looks like every one, $350. On average, Rocky 1 goes for like $175. You're going to see these if you go to auctions. I can promise you, if you go to paper auctions and collectibles and entertainment auctions, you're going to see them. They have all of those around here, just not every week or even every month. You might have to scatter them. You might have to buy a ton at one auction to have enough to list for a long length of time. There's auctions where you might spend $5,000, $10,000, but walk away with, 20,000 items, believe it or not. So that's how I buy in bulk. So anyway, let's move on from here. Now here's a Ghostbusters set. This one went for $200, but on average they don't go for that much. You can put them up for high, and you will get some sales of it like we do too, but this one isn't that high. Usually 75 to 100 is usually where I see these. I think even a couple sets went in the 40 to 50 range. They used to go for more when the other movie wasn't out, but anyway, they've since went down. Alien, can't miss Alien. Basically 170 on this set. And again, you can see the numbers on the bottom. It's 1979. There's no slash, but it's 0019, so it's the 19th film of 1979. That's the National Screen Service number, the NSS number. Rather interesting. These would have literally, with lobby cards, they would have literally sat in the lobby. They would have been on the wall so you could see what's in the movie, give you just a glimpse. You see there's no aliens shown or anything like that, so it's just trying to pique your interest. If you're not planning on seeing the movie, this might make you want to go see it. So anyway. That person, I think, said mini. I think they were actually 8 by 10, so those would not be lobby cards. They would be stills. That is a difference. You know, I know people say, nope, it's still a lobby card, but it is not. 11 by 14 is a lobby card. We used to order them at the movie theater, and literally when you ordered them from the National Screen Service, NSS, they would specifically say 11 by 14 lobby cards or 8 by 10 stills. So anybody saying otherwise, you know, they're not following the standard of what they are. Just FYI. Again, these are the original 11 by 14. You see the title card, and then, you know, the rest of them from there. So anyway, this was a good movie in its day, I guess. The new one wasn't very exciting, truthfully. And they actually have here's the envelope that they come in. Like I said, some of them come in envelopes. Some came in like sleeves or packets and things like that as well, too. $150. And I've had almost every sci-fi one you can imagine from the late 70s through the 80s from working at theaters. Princess Bride. Now, there's 2 or 3 different sets of these. These may not be. Let me go down and see if they say they're 8 by 10. So these are not lobby cards. These would be stills. And there's several sets. Some of the stills, like when they say there's 8 and why it's set B, there was like 20 some odd released of most of these when you see the 8 by 10s. They released more of them, and these would have been for like a newspaper magazine to reproduce them and put them in, or, you know, advertisements of other sources. So this is not a lobby card set. It is a still set. You know, and I worked at a place, again, as I said, and I still even have lobby in press books right this minute that actually show how to order these, and they literally list them the same way. 8 by 10s are not lobby cards after 1929, 1930. So anyway, they list them how they want. So anyway, let's see, Planet of the Apes, again, 11 by 14. Most people just don't get the difference. Many people argue with me over the 11 by 14 and 8 by 10. I just pull out some of my exhibitioner guides that literally show you, you know, and show the cost to order these for the theater, which literally break it down to lobby card sets 11 by 14 and then still sets 8 by 10. So, you know, I honestly would say that's the case. So anyway, I remember all of these movies here. Seen them all many times. This was like the last in the line before the TV series was even dying too. They cranked out, I think there was 5 movies back in the day. The first one was really good. So if you haven't seen the first one with Charlton Heston, that's, you know, a good one there if you haven't seen it. But anyway, $144.46. And last one here, just a random one here, Pet Sematary, which wasn't a good movie. And it's newer, and it's still sold for $40 for the set. But again, you're going to see these kind of things really cheap. Just be careful. I find these at antique malls too. Sometimes a whole set of these are a big stack. In fact, the last 2 stacks I got of 8 by 10s, one was from TV, and you've seen some of the ones in my What's Sold. And then I've got some from movies, all 8 by 10s. I got them at antique malls. Big lots. I offered a big bulk sum for them all, and I got them that way. A lot of people don't want to mess with trying to piece them out and sell them and take forever. So I can just pop them online and not worry about it. So I will buy them like that. Or if I just get bored with something like that, I'll throw them out in a big bulk as well. And I usually make a ton of money selling them that way. So anyway, that's what I have for you today.
Well, there you go. That just gives you a little bit look at it. There's tons of them available. There's tons of them that sell. It's a pretty high sell-through rate on most of those type of items. If you get the right ones, earlier the better. They're not all worth a fortune, but sets usually are, even from modern day stuff such as Star Wars. So anyway, that's what I have for you today. Hopefully that gave you some thoughts and some ideas. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button down below. You can also hit the bell icon to be notified when I post new content or go live. Subscribe and tell a friend.